It's now time to work on the truck bed. As you can see, it's pretty rusty. But before I can do that, I need to tidy up this mess. So let's get to it. Sorry guys if the time lapse stopped halfway through and my phone died, so I didn't actually realise. But anyway, I finished tidying this up, so we've got a bit more space to work with. And yeah, time to crack on with repairing this truck bed basically. I've just gone over the whole thing with, well, pretty much the whole thing with a screwdriver and just like prodded everything to see how rusty everything is. It's not actually too bad. I mean, there's obviously this area here which we're going to have to cut out and repair. There's a tiny bit there, and then this side is just cracked a little bit, but this is actually quite solid. There's quite thin as well, and then this one is completely rusted out, as you can see. So these bits here don't actually do a lot. They stop like just up here. So I think I'm just going to leave this and this, and I'll just knock all the loose stuff off as best as I can, and then put rust converter on it, so or rust inhibitor on it. But yeah, that's, I mean, it's going to be good enough for what we need it for. So I'll beef up this probably, and this. The rest of it is pretty good. It's, I mean, structurally, structural wise. The bad bit is just here. So as you can see, I've been doing some digging. This is the fuel filler, and it is like rusted right through. So yeah, as you can see, this structure here is also, yeah, not ideal. So I think you can actually get, I just did a quick Google, and I think you can buy this panel here. You can see where it joins on just there. That's a big circular sort of section, which I think you can buy. So I'd have to do that basically to repair this. And then obviously this one here, I'm actually not that concerned about. Obviously this is a bit of structure, but if it's not too bad up here, I'll probably cut out that, treat it to make sure it doesn't spread any further, and then leave it. But if I have to chop a lot of it out, then yeah, I'll put some bracing back in. And then here you can obviously see it's coming through, so this is going to have to be cut out and repaired. You can actually hear it. Yeah, my concern basically was that it was going to be so rusty that even if I cut that out, all that was behind it was going to be rusty. But I'm going to basically strip everything back so I can see exactly what I'm working with, and take it from there. Not ideal. So as you can see, I've cut out right up here, and then this kind of bucket thing is, you can get new ones of them, so I'll probably cut this out, get a new one to weld in, and hopefully the wing itself is like good enough to weld to once I've cleaned it up. That there's pretty solid actually, so that can stay in, which is good, and I don't think taking that out will actually have too much of an impact on this. I think it's still going to be pretty solid because it's got quite a bit of structure still in there. So, but I mean, if worst comes to worst, I can always add. I've got this little lip that I've left on here, so I can just weld to that and then put a brace across there or something. But I don't think it will need it, to be honest. Good job I had my tetanus jab, basically. Get away with just literally a bit of box action or something, which would be nice. Wow. That's a crud in there. I need to get my back in there a bit more. Apart from this little fuel filler thingy, I think that is everything cut out that needs to be cut out. And so now next step basically is get very dirty, go over the whole thing and kind of just get all the loose stuff off that I can, and get it ready for the rust inhibitor. So I completely forgot to cut this side out. So that's what I'm going to do now. So hopefully you can see that, but it's completely rotten. Pretty bad. The actual fuel cap's alright. I mean the lid thingy cover, because I know they rust and rust, but that's absolutely fine. So I can undo this, then we can cut the back panel thing out. So I'm just going to drill these spot welds out, and then obviously we can reuse those tabs, and then I'm hoping it's just like the rest of it's just bonded to this. I don't think it'll be spot welded to the actual outer wing. I've like blown out these channels as much as I can, and where I can, like I've shoved the vacuum cleaner in there to suck all the loose stuff out, because obviously I want to spray in here and coat it all. And then I discovered that this corner here is just packed with mud and dirt, so that side I think is pretty clear, but this side I've managed to break it all up, I think, so try and get it out. Okay, so as you can see, I've started stripping the loose stuff off, and I am going to just continue doing that basically. Yeah, just strip off all the loose stuff off the bad areas, like the rusty areas, like up here, and just get it cleaned up, and then I can obviously treat all that rust and stuff like that. So let's get to it. So that is it, basically stripped down. Took me about an hour. I could probably do like all of this as well. This isn't actually peeling off, but I mean just like clean it all. Ideally probably need to get it outside and power wash it, but it's not the easiest thing to move, because I just used my engine hoist before. which means like laying it down and jacking it up and stuff. So I'm probably just going to call that good. I've basically done all the bad areas. Any like really more rusty areas, there's nothing like anything rotten I've chopped out obviously, but any sort of areas that are slightly rusty that I can't properly get to, like up here, I'll put rust converter on, and then the rest of it I'll just paint. So it is going to look a bit patchy, because obviously some of it will be black and some of it will be like the original, but you're not going to see it, so I'm not really too bothered. And I don't really, even if I clean it, it would mean painting over the liner or the coating, which I don't really like. So yeah, this should be fine. So I'm just going to clean up around here basically, make it better to weld. That is that one all welded up, and now ready for this one. And just like that, it's all patched up. Pretty happy with that. Should be pretty nice and solid. So I'm just going to use some of this Hydrate 80 rust killer, and it's the same stuff that I used on the chassis. So I'm just going to, I've only got a little bit left, so I'm just going to do the really bad areas. Okay, so that's the rust killer applied. I just used the rest of it up. I basically just did like this area up here and down here where it was worse, and then I just used the rest of it up on any like structural areas basically. But yeah, it's looking really good. You can obviously see it's sort of a whitish green, and then when you put it on, it goes more green like that, and then it goes black like this. So yeah, it's pretty cool. You're meant to wait 24 hours, but I'll probably give it an hour or two and then we'll see what it's like. And see if we can paint it then, or whether we need to wait overnight. Okay, so I've mixed some more of the chassis paint stuff up. the epoxy mastic. So let's get to it. Okay, so that's all the bare patches painted. It's looking very patchy, obviously, but that stuff there is still dirty, and this is obviously brand new black. So with time, it should even out a bit, I think. But yes, looking pretty good. For some reason, though, I've only just realised. I've only just stopped and thought about the fact that this large portion I had to cut out is actually stopping all the dirt and water and everything going up inside the wing. And I think that's obviously why the top of these rot, because they go up and then it sits on top of it and then rots it from the outside in, kind of thing. I think I'm either going to have to get a repair panel in there or come up with something to basically block that back up. But yeah, other than that, it's looking really good. Now for the fun part. I want to flip this over back onto the bottom, basically, so that I can have a look at doing some body work on the wings. I did actually, last night I actually cut out a section that had already rusted through. And then I'm going to be building a rack on top of it, like a tent rack for the bed, so that's going to be a cool project. So yeah, let's try and flip this thing over. It's pretty heavy from memory. Well, it's not particularly, but it's heavy. So this side, on the sort of paintwork front, it had a hole. Well, it's just really rotten. I hit it with a screwdriver and it went straight through it. So I chopped that out. Seems pretty good, but the rest of it actually seems fine. Apart from down here, there's a little bit missing, and then at the bottom. But ain't we all got a bit missing? No, well, I'm just going to basically probably do some body work on it once it's back on the trucks. It's actually going to be easier. And then down there needs a bit of TLC as well. But you can see here, this is pretty similar to the other side, just not quite as bad. But there's way more of it, so there's like some there. So I kind of want to grind that back and just see what it looks like. Because I'd rather, if I need to do any like welding and stuff, it would be good to do that while it's off the vehicle, and then that was a dumb idea, and then Any like filling and all that we can probably just do on when it's on the vehicle. So we'll probably do that next, and then I'll show you the rack. So, I knew this had sort of been resprayed before or something, because you can see there's a line here. But someone has done a pretty bad repair. So there's a hole here, and there's a hole there as well. And then it had that, which I presume used to be a patch, just like stuck to the back of it, like up in there. And then just loads of filler over the top, which I had to grind off. Like you can see the filler here. It seems to go like along this whole thing. So I'm just trying to work out exactly what's going on in here. You can see there where the patch was. And obviously I painted up in here to stop it from rusting, without realising that there was a patch there, basically. Okay, so I've done some more investigating. This whole thing here is basically rotten, so I'll cut that out, and then the rest of this is actually pretty good. I've actually painted it from the inside as well. So that should be fine. These jobs always grow arms and legs. Like, there's always more rust than you think there is. And when I first created the to-do list for my truck, it had on the patch chassis or something like that, because I was literally just gonna, I thought it was just like some rotten bits on the chassis that I could just cut out and patch, and it's turned into like back halving the whole truck, basically redoing all the cross members and now redoing the bed. So yeah, but I mean, might as well do it properly while it's off. Alright, so the plan basically with the rack is I'm sort of figuring it out as I go along, but it's going to have, I've basically made this bar to go up here, and then it's going to have another one like a hoop there and a hoop there, basically joined together with a couple of bars, and then the rooftop tent will sit on top. So that is the rooftop tent that I've got. Hopefully you can see. It's about 300mm deep or high. So this is the hoop here. It's currently upside down. It's going to basically, that is about 400 or 450. So on the actual truck, I will show you. I think it comes to like, the rack comes to like here-ish. And so with the tent, it's about the same height as this. Just so that it's not sticking way up above the roof. I quite like that. So the plan is to, I mean, I can't do any more on these holes yet, obviously, because I've got all of the thinner steel, so I think we crack on with this. So basically the plan is put some angle iron along here. Now initially I was just building out of what I had, but I decided it wasn't going to be long enough, but it wasn't going to be good enough. So what I want to do now is put some angle iron along there and along there, which then can be bolted to the bed, and then we can just build off of that basically. It's going to be way better than what I was trying to do before. So I have got some 50 by 50 by 5. Now the guy that I went to get this, that's all we had in the stock, so I just got it. It's way overkill, but it's better to be overkill in my opinion than not thick enough. So that should go on there. We might have to open this. Yeah, I just need an option. But that can sit on there nice. And then we can just bolt in from there. And then obviously if we're overloading stuff, that's actually a nice protector. So yeah, that's pretty cool. So basically I welded these little, this is just box sections, I didn't have any angles. So I just cut box section in half and use this. But it's too thin and yeah, I just didn't like it. I wanted them to go all the way along. So I'm going to cut these off and then we can tack this onto there. This is stuff that I just had laying around for ages. I had no use for it because it was for another project. So this leftover stuff, I thought it's seriously overkill. It's like 100 or I think it's 100 by 50. But I thought, well, it's not a bad thing to have like a nice big hoop behind the cab, even from like a safety point of view. So I'm just going to use this stuff on the hoop behind the cab, and then this one is going to be 50mm box because I've got loads of 50 that I need to use up. So that's like 4 or 5mm wool, so it's going to be very heavy duty, which I didn't really want it to be too heavy, but I'm just using up what I've got basically. This is thinner, this is like 3 or something actually. And then in between I've got some 40mm blocks, so which I got from the blacksmith. So I got some thinner, like 3, I think it's 3mm wool or something. So that's not too heavy. But the idea is, yeah, to have that, and then I might make some like door gate things to go in here that I can attach stuff to. And then I can hinge them up and get access into there. But I'm not sure yet, we'll just see how it goes, basically. So I need to cut these off and then we can start tacking it together. Should go on here. Sweet. Right, so basically now we need to just copy that, but in 50mm box. So that's going to be fun. So I haven't actually got a digital angle finder, but what I have got is one of these, which is like it's actually a carpentry tool, I think. But it's really useful for getting the angle that I want, and then also I can just match it up on the saw. So I've done most of it. As you can see, I just need to do the two runners that will go in the middle that the tent will actually fix onto. As you'll see, I've done these slanted in. Now I didn't know whether to or not. I just sort of played around for a bit, but I decided to in the end, because I want to do like a hatch on the side, and I want it to be the same angle as the hatch, and then it just means that rather than butt welding these on, I'll need to like notch it. So that's going to be a bit tricky, but I think it'll be worth it. And most of the time you're going to see it from this angle, and I just think that looks better. So yeah, I just need to cut the runners. The other thing actually is this here, you'll see. I decided to come this way a bit further. Basically I was going to stop kind of on the inside of this, but I decided to bring it out as far as I could without it sort of sticking past here. So I'm going to need to get a bit of angle and weld that in there. Obviously pull the rack off and weld it in, but that's easy enough to do. Ran into a bit of a dilemma. These runners that I got them at 1.2 and I need them at about 1.25, because I need them to come all the way to here and I can notch them, but they don't. So I'm just trying to figure out what's best to do, basically. If we just butt them up against here, which I think they will be long enough to come to here, it's obviously going to be lower. It's going to sit lower than this, which isn't necessarily an issue, but I would just like them to be, it will be flush. So I'm just going to see what I can do here, basically, and it might work just to be able to notch it very slightly and then just weld along here. Alright, so this is what I came up with. Basically just notched it the same as I was going to do, but instead of, it just stops here instead of coming right to the edge, because obviously it wasn't long enough. So I think that should work pretty well. Okay, so that's those tack welded in. I just need to check they all line up, which look pretty good. Actually, it's pretty nice. And then, yeah, now just final weld it basically. I'm not sure whether to bother adding any gussets. I don't think it really needs it. Plus they might interfere with the little gate things we're going to do on the side hatch doors, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, I'll probably just weld that all up, and then call that good for now. I finished welding this up and I have gone over it with the grinder just to neaten up any bits and get any like slag off or whatever. Next what I want to do, which to be honest I kind of forgot about, was add some hooks along here. So I'm probably going to do like 3 hooks and then one on that bar behind the cab in each corner, so probably about 8 hooks altogether. So I've got some of this 8mm bar stock, so I'm just going to basically measure a load out and then just bend it probably like a 90-degree angle or something, and then just weld it on. So I've just bent all them. They're not perfect, like some of them are a little bit wonky, but they'll be absolutely fine, and then we can swab. Alright, so I've knocked all the loose mill scale off with the Scotch-Brite disc. So that is basically ready to paint. I might have a couple of bits still to weld on, but I will show you that later. And then I am now working on the panel. So I actually found this, found this like tube that I had used part of it. So I just cut a bit of that and flattened it out, because that's like nice and thin. Flattened it out and then cut a bit out, and then I put a slight curve on it to match this. So that's pretty ideal. I just need to weld that in and then make one for the other side. Okay, that's it welded up. Not pretty at all. The problem is I've got 0.8mm welding wire rather than 0.6, which I think is not great for the lower settings on my welder. It's not good for doing really thin material, so it's a bit of a nightmare to weld, but it's nice and solid, so we should be able to just grind it pretty flat, I think. So I've run out of rust killer, so I'm just going to do the next best thing and just paint straight on that. Not ideal, but I hope it'll do something. It's just the inside like support sort of structure, so it's not too critical. I'm just cleaning this up. This is just panel wipe in a spray bottle. And then I want to just put some filler on this basically, and then so I can get some primer on it to stop it rusting. I'm not going to do the whole thing, but just to basically cover it up and stop it rusting from it. Alright, so this is ready to paint. I've still got to drill the fixing holes, which are going to go down here and into the bed. But other than that, it's all ready to go. Oh, the other thing actually is this is the back hoop. I'm going to add probably some lights in there at some point, but until I know what lights to get, I'm not sure what to put in. So what I'll probably do is paint the bottoms, wait for that to dry, and then we can stick it back on there, weld whatever we need to weld and drill whatever we need to drill, and then we can finish painting it once it's on. Around this side, there's a couple of holes, and rather than trying to patch them, I just opened them up slightly bigger, got rid of any like rot and stuff, and then just patched it up with like fiberglass. Well, it's body filler basically with little fiberglass strands in it. So that's just drying, and then around the other side I've put a load of body filler on. This hardly needed anything. That I put on fairly thick because I think it might need it, but until we start sanding it down properly, I'm not really sure. So I think next step is to prime that and paint it. So I've got 2 coats of paint on the bottom of it, of the rack, so I'm going to try and lift it onto this now. Thankfully it's got like this protective film just here, you might be able to see it, so I'm not too worried about just shoving it along the top. Alright, so it's clamped on. It's looking really cool actually. Quite happy with how that's turned out. Obviously got the hooks and stuff, and then a couple more right there. Alright, so next I'm going to just finish priming the rest of the rack, and then once that's dry I'll paint it. I'm kind of toing and froing between jobs, because after that I'll probably start sanding this filler down, just because I'm like waiting for one thing to dry, then doing the next and stuff. So that's it. So I've sanded the wings and I've done another coat of fillet on this one. It needed quite a bit, so I'm waiting for that to dry, and then this side I've basically just done the same. So I put a load on there, and yesterday I drilled these 2 holes. You can obviously see the mark where I clamped it because the paint was still not fully dry, so it came off quite easy. But that's one just grade 8 M8 bolt in there with a nut on the back, and then I'm going to do probably 4 more, so probably like 1 here somewhere and then 1 up the other end as well. But yeah, it's looking good. So I'm going to crack on with that and paint the top black, and then we can stick it on the truck. So I found some flush fit LED floodlights on Amazon, which I'm probably going to get and fit on the back of the rack. So I'm just looking at the sizes, because obviously I need a plate to mount them on, and I've got this offcut from the chassis, which is 3mm steel. So I'm going to use that. It's actually pretty nice width, so I just need to cut it to length, and then we'll weld them into the corner of the frame. So I'm just going to take the angle of this, which I've already got from when I made the rack, and then I'm just going to obviously angle this to match, and probably angle there, and then we can just weld a piece in each corner, and the light can just sit in there and get a bit decent. For some reason my phone stopped recording, so apologies about that. I've welded these in, as you can see. I've put them at a slight angle, so they're like angled down, facing downwards slightly. So yeah, it just will obviously shine more on the ground because I want them to be like more work lights kind of thing. So now, just need to paint it. Apologies, my other phone keeps running out of storage, so if I'm not like getting the whole procedure, then I'm sorry about that. But I've run out of paint anyway, so I just did like up near the cab, and then I can hopefully put it on and then finish the paint after I get some more. But it is looking good. So I think next step is to put it back on the truck. The only thing is I still haven't refurbed the axle yet. As you can see, it's quite rusty. I'd quite like to strip that down and paint it, but it's going to be a relatively long job just because it's like pretty rusty. So I think what I'll do is put the bed on and then do that once I've got the MOT, and when we do all the mods to it and jack it up and stuff, then we can just pull the axle off then, because it'll basically be coming off anyway. So I've just realised there's a few more things I need to do before I put this on the truck. One of them is to finish the wheel wells. So obviously we left that all open when I cut it out, if you can see in there. And that just means that like mud and water and stuff is just going to go up there and rust the wing from the inside out again. So I kind of want to get that sorted first. And there's also a couple of things on the other things on the truck, including the electrics for the trailer. You'll remember it's just a mess of wiring basically. So I need to get that done, and then I also need to finish looking at these other lines. So I'm afraid to say we'll be doing that in the next video. So make sure you tune into the next video, and we'll be getting the bed back on the truck and getting it ready for its MOT. Thanks again for watching.